it's Moon's Creative Mayhem and I'm in Calgary, so I'm without moonlight today, and I'm going to be painting from Lord of the Rings. So at the Love of Fantasy Film Convention in London, they've got all 4 hobbits are going to be there and Gandalf, and I've managed to get tickets for signatures from all 4 hobbits, so Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd, and I'm going to be using this picture to paint on gouache. I started out by stretching watercolour paper onto a solid board, which warped slightly as I didn't have a wooden board available. I'm painting the 4 hobbits in gouache paint and traced out the shadows and basic features in pencil before starting with the base colours for their faces. I'm painting this on a really tight deadline because I only recently found out that all of the hobbits, Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd, are going to be at the Love of Fantasy at XL in London. It's my favourite hobby to paint movies and then to attend Comic-Cons and conventions to have the actors sign them, and The Lord of the Rings being my favourite movie series of all time, I couldn't miss the opportunity. Not including the cost of entry for the Love of Fantasy convention, the autographs altogether are costing £370. The cost includes £40 for a certificate of authenticity for each of the autographs, and Billy Boyd's signature is costing £80, Dominic Monaghan £80, Elijah Wood £90 and Sean Astin £80. It's a lot of money, but it's something that I know I'll keep forever. There's an option to get a photograph as well with everybody, but because I'm not going to be there on the day, I left this off. You can see that Pippin's face has been painted in white gouache first. This is because my first attempt at his face was a total failure. It looked terrible. Eventually, I gave up on it, watered down and scraped off all the paint and repainted everything from scratch. The hardest part about painting this picture was working on the hair. All of the hobbits have really scruffy hair, and the biggest struggles came with Merry and Sam, who have lighter blonde shades, so any mistakes show up a lot more. On first attempt, Sam Gamgee's hair came out far too straight, so I added in curls and twirling and scruffy hairs later on. The biggest joy to paint was Frodo Baggins. Elijah Wood has really startling blue eyes and a very striking face. There was also more detail to work from in the source poster, so he was the most fun. On painting the eyes for each hobbit, I worked to basically outline each colour in and then went lighter to the middle of the eye, adding a shadow at the top of each. The pupils are just a solid black circle, and then as usual I added a white splodge to bring the eyes to life. I gave the hobbits cloaks in similar colours, even though there are slight differences in reality for the colour of each, because I wanted the colours to tie in together. I darkened the bottom sections of their cloaks and then carried on blending the background. I painted in soft burnt sienna with a little yellow and white and blended for the background. Then I decided it was too brown and I added in cloudy sections with white and yellow and darker brown to the edge before blending out again. Then I used water and white to blend and even the tones. Because I was making the background into a map, the scruffy watered down tones actually looked better, a bit like ancient paper. I used a very watered down mix of gouache to paint in mountains and random shapes to make the background look like a map. Then I painted in the mountains too, with white for highlighted sections. I didn't want too much detail or writing in the background because this is where I want the actors to sign the picture, so I don't want it to be too busy. Finally, I used coloured pencil to add in some detailing on the hobbits' hair, lips and eyes, as well as adding in colour to the shadowy sections of their cloaks. I then went around the edges of the characters with white pencil, but ultimately I then decided that this brought too much attention to Pippin, who I feel was the weakest part of the painting. So I left in the white edging on the outer edges, but removed it in between the cloaks and characters.
So that's the Hobbits picture all finished, and I just need to post this from Calgary to England, where my cousin is going to go to the Love of Fantasy Film Festival for me over in London and get it signed by all 4 Hobbits, and I'm really excited for it. Thanks for watching and see you next time.